of relationships and of marriage and of life in general. And I remember the time that I got a letter of somebody who went to Eretz Yisrael. The family made Aliyah after 9th grade. And I assume, he didn't really say he was referring to the shmooze, but I remember he said that I got a letter from maybe 6, 7, 8 years after he moved, saying hello and thanking the school for what they did for him. And he said that his 1 year in Valley Torah gave him the insight and the appreciation to understand what marriage is about, and that helped him many, many years later. So clearly, Baruch Hashem, this is an idea, and it's not my idea. I'm sharing with you the ideas of the great Bali Musar. But Rabbi Leoli Apian has an incredible word from this week's parsha. And Rabbi says again, listen and recognize that this is not something that you can work on while you're getting your chosin classes from Rabbi Byron. Okay, that's a wonderful opportunity to be prepared for marriage, but you got to work on marriage way, way before you start taking chosin classes, and Baruch Hashem, you get engaged. It's a lifelong process which starts as soon as possible. And you'll see what I mean. Because as we read in Parshas Vayetze, we read about Yaakov who needed to run away from his father's house. Esau was going after him. Rivka says, you got to leave, you got to go. He spends 14 years, we spoke about that last week, in Yeshiva Shem Ve'ever. He then comes to Lavan's house. And the first order at hand is finding a way to get his life in order and make some money, find a place to live, and obviously get married. And he sees Rachel, and he immediately recognizes that this is the woman I'd like to marry. And he makes a deal with Lavan, of course, to work for Rachel for 7 years. And the pasuk says that those 7 years went by kiyom achadim. The pasuk says that the 7 years that Yaakov worked for Rachel, because of his love for her, Vayiu be'einav, so Vayavad Yaakov Rachel Sheva Shonim, Vayiu be'einav kiyomim achadim ba'avosei osa. And I urge you to ask this question at the Shabbos table. Bring it up as there are people around the table wanting to hear some Torah discussion. Bring this question up. What does the Torah mean that the 7 years seem like a few days in his love for Rachel? Because Yaakov loved Rachel, so 7 years went by like a few days. Kiyom achadim. I ask her, but I say, this seems to be counterintuitive, and it's not my question. What do you mean like a few days? When you're waiting for something, when you're desperate for something to happen, and you're anticipating it, and you have the day marked off on your calendar, whether it's the last day of school, or some of you have marked off already, counting down, you know now how many months, days, minutes, and seconds are left till your June vacation, okay, or whether it's the day that the Lakers are officially, don't comment, the days that the Lakers are officially eliminated from the playoff hunt, or whatever other day you have marked in your calendar, thank you, okay, whatever day it is that you mark, when you're waiting for that day, and you're anticipating it, it seems like forever. You ever see somebody waiting? I know around here nobody waits for buses, you have Ubers and other things, but when you go to New York, and you have trains, and everyone's traveling on subways and buses, and you watch people, and they're looking at the watch, and they're waiting for the bus. Every minute, they're looking down the street. They're getting up, they're looking, they're anticipating. They can't. It's nerve-wracking. When's it going to happen? Where's the bus? Where's the train? I'm looking for the lights in the subway. Where's that train coming? And you're leaning over every few minutes. When's the train coming? When you're waiting for something to happen, especially something that you want to happen, it seems like forever. So why would the Torah say something that seems so counterintuitive in terms of the way we normally operate? That a few days, that 7 years went by like a few days because he loved her so much? He loved her so much, and he's waiting for the anticipated moment where he's going to end up marrying her. Should have seemed like forever. It should have seemed like 40 years, 50 years. What do you mean, like a few days? So Rabbi Apian, the great Bal Musar, the great Mashiach, says a very, very important concept. And the point that he makes, and this is really beautiful in terms of how many words in the Torah are not seen and not defined in the way we typically think of them. Because the word here, the key word, says Rabbi Avrohom is ba'avaseosa. He loved her. That word love is a word that is very often misinterpreted and completely mangled by the secular world. Because he says, and this was true even in his time, 75 years ago, 100 years ago, this was true that the word love was seen as a word that reflects what I enjoy from a given situation. And he gives a classic mashal that I certainly relate to because I happen to like fish. And he says or you can say even love fish in the typical vernacular. And he says, picture a guy walking down the street. You have beautiful tables set up in front of a restaurant, and he hears a guy over here. He overhears a conversation. Oh, I love fish. I just love fish. So the guy says, oh, this guy loves fish. Let's see. Let me see what he means by loving fish. And he moves to the side, and he watches what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, the same guy who said he loves fish, a few minutes later, somebody in a nice white jacket and a little nice coat there, and he comes out with a beautiful plate of salmon, grilled, okay, dead as a doorknob, and this guy takes his knife and his fork and he sticks it into the salmon. He starts cutting up, and the guy's cringing. Ooh, that's a guy who loves fish. He loves fish. If he loved fish, then what he would be doing is buying a beautiful water tank, a beautiful aquarium, and putting in a lot of fish in there, and spending his time every morning. You'd say, good morning, guppies, good morning, Nemo and Waldo and all of your, and how you doing? Did you sleep well last night? Let me feed you this morning. And at night, he'd feed him again at night. We're good? So let me feed him again at night. Let me take care of them. Let me take care of them. You love fish because you order a grilled salmon and you stick your knife into it, you cut it up and you start wolfing it down? You love the way fish, you don't love fish, you love the way fish tastes. You love the way it goes down and makes you feel good. And you've completely distorted the word. And we use that word love all the time in terms of what gratifies us, of what makes us feel good. And that's why when we love something, and we love sports, or we love certain activities, or whatever it is that we love to do, okay, we don't love that item. If we love sports, we'd be donating to the sports fund of retired athletes, and we'd want to perpetuate sports, so we'd be giving to sports. When we say we love sports, we love the feeling we get when we watch our team win. We love the exhilaration of what it does for us. But that's not the word in Lashon HaKodesh. That's not what Ava means. Ava does not mean what you get out of a particular endeavor. Ava means what you give into that particular endeavor. Because Ava is rooted in the word Hav, Rabbi Isai. Hey, vez. Hey, vez, Hav means to give. Ava means you are so invested. The love that is not coming to you and from something else to feed yourself and feed your needs and feed your desires, but Ava means what comes out from you in another direction. Giving. That's Ava. Think of the words V'yaftas Hashem Elokecha. Love God. Love God. So love God means what? Love God means B'chol levavcha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol miyadecha. When you love God, that means you're able to give. And you have to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu how much you appreciate what He does for us, so you want to give Him back with all of your heart and all of your might and all of your soul, and even to the point, Rahman al-San, it should never happen, but to the point of even Mesiras Nefesh. It's what you give back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ava is giving. We use that word in such a distorted way when you think about it. I love. I'm in love. All these distorted words, I'm in love. What's in love? That means you love how you feel from a given relationship and what you get out of that relationship. By Torah, it's the exact opposite. By Torah, if you really want to, you can gain a lot. You get something very, very special. But that comes after the fact. When you talk about a relationship between a husband and wife, the essence of that relationship, the definition of that relationship is love. But not love as far as thinking about what I'm going to get out of that relationship, but love of what I can bring to that relationship. And therefore, says Rabbi Avrohom, when the Torah says that Yaakov loved Rachel, and in that love 7 years went by so quickly, like a few days, what the Torah is saying is, when you are invested in giving, when you are working right now to build that special home, and you're already doing something right now to share that vision, that goal. He didn't have to wait. He maybe needed to wait to gain the physical benefit or the physical connection of a marriage. But he didn't have to wait to give to Rachel. He gave to Rachel the first day he met her. And he continued to give to her. And because he was so invested in giving and sharing and building, that's why 7 years can go by like a few days. Think about it. When does time fly in our situation? Time flies when you're so enamored and so focused on a given situation. You look up and you say, my gosh, can't believe the 2 hours just went by. It seemed like a couple of minutes. Why? Because you were completely into it. You didn't look at the clock. You were just mesmerized, whatever it might have been, spiritual or otherwise. When you're involved in something, time flies. When you're waiting for something, time stands still. And it explains Rabbi Avrohom that word Ava, Rabbi Say, we should try to think every time we use that word. We say, I love this and I love that. And I love fish, or I love to sleep, I love to put my head down, I love to take a nap during a schmooze, whatever it might be. Whatever that love that we use, let's remember it's not being used in the proper context. This is a fundamental aspect of what really makes somebody happy, Rabbi Say. Because too many people walk into a marriage and walk into relationships in general, but let's talk specifically about a marriage. You ask a lot of people, what do you hope to get out of marriage? And how sad is that in the typical world, marriage is great. I got this, I live with this wonderful lady, and she does my laundry, she takes care of my physical needs, she cooks for me, look what I'm going to get out of this incredible marriage. Is that why the Torah says a person's not complete till they're married? Is that why the Torah says that you're only like a half a man until you're married, because then you have somebody to give you things? That you can take from somebody and use somebody for your own personal interest? That's why you're half a person? That's why you cannot get life fully? You can't be the complete Jew until you're married? Is that why? No, I don't think so. You're not a complete Jew until you're married, because marriage is the ultimate vehicle by which a person becomes the ultimate giver, the ultimate sharer, the ultimate investor of everything you have for somebody else in your life. And when you live that life, and when you look at this person as the incredible person who does so much for you, and because they do so much for you, that's why you love them and you want to give to them. And you recognize that the only way I can become a complete person is if I become selfless. If I start shedding all of the self-centered feelings that we have, that the world gives us, the numero uno mentality. I'm it. It's all about me. What am I going to get? How am I going to emerge from this relationship? What am I going to get out of this relationship? And what happens in the world? Why is there, 65, 70% divorce rate now? It's going up like crazy, and I hate to say it, the Orthodox community, certainly, it's not there, but it's also rising. The numbers are increasing. It was under 10% for many, many years. From I remember recently, I think it went above that, and it's rising, unfortunately. Why is that happening? Because if you're going into a relationship because of what you're going to get out of it, you get a little bit tired, it's a little bit stale. I don't know. If it's all about me, so you know what? Now maybe after 5 years or so, let me change my tires. Let me just let me get a new model, new car. That's what a wife is. If we understood the kedusha inherent in a relationship of why it's called kedushin and why it's called nisuin, Rabbi Say kedusha, because it's sanctified, it's holy, the holiest relationship that exists in the Torah. And nisuin, what an amazing word, nisuin. You're learning about it in Ksubis. You've got the two different time frames. You got kedushin, you got nisuin. Nisuin is the culmination. And what does nisuin mean? To be nosei, to carry. When you complete a marriage and you are now engaged in the nisuin process, as opposed to the betrothal process, you're carrying that responsibility. You're taking your wife, so to speak, on your shoulders and saying, I will commit myself completely to you. And then you become the ultimate giver. And if Rabbi said, if you think that's sacrificial in nature, you think that somehow, oh my gosh, so another thing I have to give up. I have to become a giver, and my whole life is now giving and giving and giving. You're not sacrificing anything. There are two types of people in the world, Rabbi say. Happy ones and unhappy ones. You want to know how they match up? They match up to two other types of people. Givers and takers. If you are a giver, you will forever be happy. Because givers gain satisfaction by connecting to somebody else, by touching somebody else's life, by uplifting somebody else's spirits, by putting a smile on somebody else's face. That's what gives them chiyus. And that's why Rabbi say, the Rambam says incredibly that when you have extra money on Purim, what do you do with that extra money? Do you buy you get a more beautiful Megillah? Do you make a more beautiful Suda? Do you send a fancier basket to your friend for Shlach Manos? None of the above. The Rambam says his words are amazing. One should look it up and see it at the very end of Hilchos Purim. He says what you do with that extra money is you give it to Matanos Avyonim. You give it to the poor. Because the whole idea of Purim is to be happy. How does one rejoice? What gives you the ultimate satisfaction? Not taking it. If you think money and getting money will give you the ultimate satisfaction, then right now you're in the world of takers, and that puts you in a very, very sad position. Our job is to move ourselves from the world of being a taker to the world of being a giver. And when we are givers, we are perennially happy because there's always an opportunity to give. You don't need money to give. You can give your smile. You can give your nice good morning. And when you are in the mode of giving and that is what makes you tick, then you realize that every time you've uplifted somebody, like the Rambam says, our job is to be happy on Purim. No greater simcha in the world is derived from the fact that you can give to somebody else. You uplift somebody's spirits, you become godly. That's what God does all the time. You are there to uplift the souls of other people. And that is, it takes so nothing. You don't have to be wealthy. You don't have to have a lot of opportunities. You don't have to have fancy cars. You don't have to be able to give people your credit cards. We think, that's how parents think that, unfortunately. How am I going to get my kid to love me? I hate to say it, the kids buy into it. Oh, you don't love me. You're not giving me this. You're not buying me this. You're not buying that. That's love. We're all buying into the same mishigas. Oh, you don't love me because you didn't buy me my new iPhone. I'm waiting for my iPhone 27. I didn't get it yet. It's not fair. That's love? It's not love. Love is making sure that you get what you need. And the important things in life. And the nurturing. And the support. And the instilling of self-esteem. And obviously you have to take care of your children's physical needs as well. But the idea of I get my kid to love me by promising them and giving them everything they want, that's a joke, Rabbi Sykes. It's a shallow, false joke. You gain respect and you gain a connection to somebody when you give them what they need, not what they want. That's why somebody asked last night at Mishmar, I pray for a lot of things. Well, yeah, because Baruch Hu gives you what you need, not necessarily what you want. Sometimes you have to be careful what you want. Because God forbid, if you shouldn't get it, God might give it to you anyway. I might say, next time be careful what you wish for. So this is a paradigm shift that is required, Rabbi say, not a month before a wedding. You can't become a giver overnight. It's never too late to start. But wouldn't it be much better if we started now? Wouldn't it be much better if we started already in our teenage years when we already began to start realizing that connecting to somebody, giving to somebody, and being selfless and being sensitive to other people's needs, and actually tapping into that feeling of satisfaction. The people, you can speak to people who do chesed all the time. You speak to the Hatzalah people. You speak to the Etta people. You speak to the Bika Cholim people. You speak to any person involved with chesed. They will tell you there's nothing that could compare to saving somebody's life in a tough situation, giving somebody a sense of hope. Have a participant who maybe is down, and you can take this person who's got a lot of challenges and you can lift up their spirits and put a smile on their face. Or visit a family, or visit somebody at a hospital and put a smile on their face. And the thank you that you get, Rabbi Say, that's priceless. Put you in a different world, in a different league, and we're so focused on how can I pad my pockets with another this and another gift and another that, and we keep wanting. If you're a taker, Rabbi Say, you will never be happy. Shlomo Melech already told us. A person cannot die if his tithe is what he wants. If more and more and more, says Shlomo Melech, if you have 100, what do you want? You want 200. You have 200, you want 400. Well, do the math. If you have $1 billion and you just want more money, and there are people, they have $10 billion and they're still making deals, they're still flying on planes for 20 hours a day, never seeing their family, waving to their wives once a month as they go on their next jet-setting trip somewhere to make another big deal, to make another billion. Well, yeah, you already have 22 billion. Imagine, the guy has 22 billion and he's into money. He wants 44. Wow, that's a lot of want. It's a lot of want, Rabbi Say. Guy wants $44 billion, that's a big hole in his heart. But Chacham Brain, you have 22. No, but that's not enough. I just checked the Forbes 500. I'm number 22 on the list. It's not acceptable. I got to be in the top 5. And I'm not going to sleep until I get to that top 5. Here's a guy with 22 billion bucks, and he's eating himself up alive because somebody else's Gates is ahead of me, and this one's ahead of me. Sugar must have this. What are you doing? You hear what you're saying? Can you maybe, you got 4 kids at home. How about spending some time with them? How about actually taking them to the park and having a catch and connecting with them and putting a smile on their face instead of them saying, well, yeah, my father's always away and I never see him, but he's got 22 billion bucks while he's crying inside. Because you can never see him. That's what the Torah is teaching us. You want to know what love is? Love is not what you get out of a relationship, Rabbi Say. Love is what you invest into it. And that's what Yaakov is teaching us. That's what the Torah is teaching us. 7 years can go by in a few days. And that's why I dare say, when people are involved in Avodas Hashem, in a way I guess it's a drawback, because you can live 50 years and it can seem like a minute. But in a way it's a beautiful thing. If 50 years seems like a minute, wow, was that person invested? Woe, was he involved in something so beautiful and so uplifting that he's not waiting for anything to happen. He's grabbing today. That's why life can fly by. That's not a bad thing. Because a life that flies by is a life that's eternal. That means you've been giving. That means you've been uplifting. That means you've been connecting. And you have so many schusim. You've touched so many lives. That after 120 years, boy, the reward awaiting that person is a reward that nobody can imagine. So the Torah is not asking us to give up, even though it is. The Torah is asking us to really take. Because the ultimate taker is the giver. He's not taking right now. He's focused on giving, but he will take in the long run. He will reap the benefits of that life that he's led. And a marriage rooted in giving, when a wife's focus is what does my husband need, and a husband's focus is what does my wife need, and you can live that way, and it takes work. It does not come easily, Rabbi said, but if you can live that way, you can actually understand that that's what life is about. It's a marriage that won't be broken. It's a marriage that will endure forever. Well, it might seem cool to be bouncing around from one wife to the other. It's not cool at all. That means a person's looking and searching and yearning and longing and walking around with an empty pit in their stomach. So let's get this incredible message. Let's understand what love is truly all about. And Bez Hashem will be zocheh to fulfill Yaakov's vision. And Bez Hashem develop loving relations that will last a lifetime. Have a good Shabbos.